There, it's Tracy Farquhar coming to you live on Monday, June 7th with a general reading for the week. And I'll take a few requests for one card readings after that general reading. So just be aware if you're watching live and you'd like a one card reading, in order to comment here, I have it set up so that only people who follow my Tracy Farquhar Psychic Medium page can comment, and they have to be a follower of the page for at least 15 minutes. There have been a lot of spammy comments coming in from people offering free readings, which are scams. So I'm trying to cut back on that so I don't have to keep going in and deleting them and blocking those people. So if you are a follower of Tracy Farquhar Psychic Medium for at least 15 minutes, you can request a one card reading. I will do just a few of those after the general reading. Okay, so I've pulled some cards already for the week ahead. And this is based on the energy of the week and where we are in the midst of all the things that are going on, the shift and everything. So I'm going to go through each card and let you know what I get for the week ahead. And this is a general reading for all of us. The first thing I want to mention is that all of the cards that came up reversed, upside down. The way that I read that, and just a reminder, I read the cards intuitively. Those meanings aren't necessarily the standard meanings of these cards. But to me, a reverse card means it's internal work as opposed to external experience. So everything we're going to be talking about here is based on how you're feeling, what you're thinking, what's going on internally, which feels really relevant to where we are right now. We are being asked to really do a lot of internal work, which then has a huge influence on the external world. The first card in the past position is the Nine of Pentacles, which looks like this in my deck. The Pentacles is a sign of, can be money or work or just our material lives in general. On the card, you notice that there was an image of a woman who looks like she's in her 9th month of pregnancy, and so it corresponds with the 9. And the energy of that is kind of similar to me, the sense of being a little impatient, waiting for something to happen, being tired of waiting. I think it's really relevant to our recent past. We're all pretty fed up right now, with all the things that we've had to put up with and what we've had to wait for. And, that feeling of waiting has been very difficult for most of us. To me, though, any of you who have had children know that, even though you're impatient and uncomfortable and wanting this to be over, you know that at the end of that waiting period is something really spectacular. So it's reminding us of that if we can just continue to hang in there, work on ourselves, do the required sense of self-awareness and choice making from a higher state of consciousness, this is all going to be worthwhile. And it's not to negate some of the things that have really challenged us, the grief and the illness and all of the things that have been extraordinary in our life experience, been extraordinarily difficult to deal with. We need to really be aware that we have emotional repercussions from that. But to me, this card is saying, things are starting to shift. There is potential and hope for things to get better, and in fact, better than ever before. So again, really relevant to where I think we are, and in this week, which is the focus of this reading. Remind yourself of that when you start to feel impatient, when you start to, get a little antsy about what's going to happen in your own personal life and in the world in general. Get more into a state of allowing. Things will shift and change in their own time. You can participate in that by getting clear in your intentions, really doing some self-reflection and thinking about where you want to go in your own personal path right now. The second card in the present position is the Princess of Wands, and she looks like that in my deck. Very feminine energy in this card. The Wands energy is about manifestation and creation. So moving on from that first card is this reminder that we are creators, that we are always manifesting and creating. And that has to do with the way we're thinking, what we believe, and the actions that we take. It's not something that we have really felt lately. You know, there is a real sense of victimhood coming out of the real big challenges that we've had in the past year and a half. Things happening to us that we haven't had any control over can make us feel like victims and helpless. It's a very uncomfortable place to be. But this card is saying, don't forget that you're always manifesting and that your power is in your choices of how to respond to the things that have happened, the choices about what you want to do with that, to what you want to do with the experiences that you've had, and the things that you have learned about yourself, how you want to respond to the big emotional challenges that we've all faced, and how you want to take that and move forward. You know, this is what really creates our path. The challenges are somehow inspirational in ways to now let us make our own choices and use our free will to determine what we want to do with those challenges. So the feminine energy here again is asking us to tap into our heart center, into our intuition, our feeling senses, and really get an intuitive sense of where we want to go that's going to be in our highest good, both as individuals and as a collective. So if you've been feeling helpless, hopeless, kind of drained, this is saying, hang in there. Remember that you're a creator. It's okay to feel what you're feeling, but it's time to start generating a little creative energy right now. There can even be a literal sense of being creative. It's time to really start to do some creative activities in your life that can often start to generate that sense of being creative. If you're just doing what you have to do all day long, responding, reacting, and taking care of business without ever really tapping into your creativity, that's not going to help you feel empowered. What helps us to feel empowered is when we exercise our creativity, and that can be something as simple as coloring in a coloring book. It doesn't have to be some grand artistic thing, or writing in a journal, or some kind of creative thinking, trying something outside of the box, being spontaneous. Think about what makes you feel creative and start bringing that into your life a little bit more. The third card is the Ace of Swords, and this is coming up in the future position. Swords is a tricky suit in the tarot as it represents our thinking mind, which is also kind of tricky in us humans. But the ace is the number one, and it's a new beginning. So the trajectory here is really relevant, I think. Again, it's saying you've waited a long time, you've been impatient. It seems like this is never going to end. Then the Princess of Wands is saying, and you get to choose what to do with that now. You get to start to get a sense of what you want, where you want to go, your intentions going forward. Make sure that you're not just giving up to whatever is going on. You can surrender to it and say, yes, this is what is, and I'm going to make decisions about what to do with it and what I want to see in my life going forward. That's how you create. And also, actually being literally creative to kind of get those juices flowing. And then the Ace of Swords is saying, okay, this is a time for a new start. And with the swords aspect relating to how we think, it's really calling on being mindful about where your thoughts are dwelling, where you're churning the wheels in your mind. The word on the card is doom, and it is not predicting doom for us, but it is saying that we do that. We predict doom. We generate fear. Things are never going to get better. In fact, they're going to get worse, and it's going to be, chaos all the time, and nothing's any good. And we can spin these thoughts in our minds and often it's the product of watching too much news or getting caught up in the drama. Yes, there have been really, really challenging things in the world. There always are challenging things. They've been particularly challenging for us, but that doesn't mean that we're headed for doom. So we want to be really mindful about the energy that we're generating with our thoughts. Our thoughts generate a lot of energy. And because we're creators, we want to create in a way that is leading us forward to something better, not getting us stuck in this place that things are never going to get better and there's always going to be something wrong and we're all doomed. Um, it's not helpful, it's not productive, and it doesn't make us feel like we are participating in what happens in the world. So just be aware of where your thoughts are going. Be the witness of your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are the product of the programming in your brain, which happens through learning and belief systems and external influences. So you can witness those thoughts. Here's the question: who are you when you are witnessing those thoughts? Who's the witness? Well, the witness is the higher consciousness. If you can witness your thoughts, you know that your thoughts are not who you are. Okay? So that means you can change your thoughts. You can interrupt the thought. You can say, is this really in my highest good to be churning my mind around these thoughts? What kind of energy do I want to generate through my churning thoughts? Let me get into that mode a little bit more and say, what do I prefer? What do I want? What's in my highest good? And what's in the highest good of the collective, all of us? The action card is the card that kind of sums everything up in the first three and gives us a sense of going forward. And it's the Eight of Swords, another kind of challenging card in the swords. You can see that the word on that card is disillusion. So again, I think it's really relevant because we have been disillusioned in a lot of ways. And again, we can let ourselves kind of be pulled down into that sense of disappointment and things not going the way we had hoped. And, why is this happening? And again, it's like, how is that energy affecting you? It tends to drain you. It tends to kill your motivation. It doesn't inspire you to move forward. So it's important to recognize, again, where you are focusing. And as this card is coming up as the culmination or the summary of everything we've just talked about, again, there is this big sense of self-awareness, self-reflection, and mindfulness that's being called upon this week. Where are you placing your energy, your thoughts, your time, your energy as far as your belief system? And how can you improve that? It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be disillusioned, but you don't want to live there. You don't want to make that a belief system that says, I'm never going to get what I want. The world is never going to get any better. You want to say, there's still a lot of beauty in the world. There's still a lot of potential. Every moment has potential. And so the things that have disillusioned or disappointed me are actually bringing truth to the surface. They're showing me some truths. And now that I can see those truths, I can make decisions based on them, which means we can change things. If things are hidden, we can't do anything about them. So when they come to the surface and we can see them, now we have the ability to make choices around that truth. So, this is what can kind of start to pull our energy up out of that place of disappointment and disillusion and start to create a sense of taking action on what is. We can surrender to what is, but that doesn't mean giving up. Surrender means I see it. This is what's in front of me. I'm not resisting it. I'm not pushing back against it. I'm willing to see it so that I can make the best choices for myself and for the collective. All right. Well, I hope that inspired you for the week ahead. So I'm going to scroll through the comments. I can only do a few readings. I won't be able to get to everybody. So just know I'm going to scroll through randomly. If I skip over you, it's not personal. Okay. I just want, I don't want to get just a clump of people at one place. So hang in there. I'm going to start pulling some names out of the comments and I will pull a card for you. All right. So again, if you're wanting a one card reading, you have to be a follower of my page for at least 15 minutes. So if you're not able to comment, that may be why. It's in service to reducing the number of spammers. Okay. And as soon as this live feed is finished, I'm going to turn off commenting completely, because that's when we start to get a lot of the scammers. So just know that if you're watching this as a recording and you're not able to comment, that's why. Okay, so the first comment here is from Mary. Hi, Mary. It's nice to see you here. Let me pull a card for you. If you don't give me a question, I'm just going to pull a card for a general reading. If you have a question, you can post your question there. All right, Mary, your card is the Ace of Pentacles, a really, really powerful card coming up here. Again, the Ace is the number 1, which is a new beginning. Pentacles often refers to money, but it can also be our work or material lives in general. This is a really high energy card. There is a sense of, really seeing what's the next step for you as a level up. It's saying it's time to kind of level up. That means take all of the wisdom and experience and everything that you've gained through the past, your whole life, but also, the recent past, and say, what's going to feel like I'm now moving up to the next level with that. So that can be work related. It can be relationship related. It can be related to any part of your life. Pentacles, to me, often has to do with the material life, but that doesn't just mean money. It could be that there's a next step in your work life, in your money life, but it can mean other things as well. The big snake on the card represents the shedding of the skin, and so there's a real reminder to let go of the past. In order for us to grow, we need to let go of what doesn't fit us anymore, what doesn't serve us anymore. Just like the snake can't grow unless it sheds its skin. So it's a reminder that when we're leveling up, we need to know what we need to let go of. If there's energy that needs to be released, we need to release our hold, our attachment to something. That's going to allow new energy to come in. So be aware of that as well and be discerning about that. Okay. Gina Gibson, I will pull a card for you. Okay, your card is the Emperor. There he is. So the Emperor is a leader. The Emperor is a very self-confident card. It's really encouraging your own self-confidence and to really be aware of where that is with you. How are you feeling about yourself lately? And if you're not feeling super self-confident, this is saying, really take some steps to remind yourself of everything you've accomplished and how far you have come. Even if you're not exactly where you want to be yet, we need to remind ourselves of how far we've come, because sometimes we're so focused on what we want next and next and next that we don't stop to say, wow, I really did that. I really got through that. We should all be congratulating ourselves for getting through the past year and a half and still looking forward to what's next. I mean, that's pretty extraordinary. We're such resilient, wise creatures, and we need to really know that about ourselves so that we can feel the confidence in knowing that whatever we create next is going to be good. So this Emperor, Gina, for you is saying, you don't have to prove that confidence to anybody. Just be sure of yourself. You don't have to battle with anybody. You don't have to, prove that you're right about anything. Just be still within yourself and say, okay, I know that I have what it takes to create the next step in my life. Okay. So I'm scrolling down a little bit just to see how many we've got. Okay. All right, so I should be able to get to most of you. Kath Housen. going to go pretty quickly here so I can get to most of you. All right. Okay, Kath, your card is the Two of Pentacles. Got a lot of Pentacles coming up to here today. The word on this card is change, and you can see the colors and the images on that card have to do a lot with contrast. So clearly it's a sign that things are changing for you. And it's asking you to use the contrast to get clearer about what you want. So when something doesn't turn out the way you want, when something shows you the truth about what's not going to work for you, which is always a challenge, let that inform what you really want, because sometimes we're not clear about what we really want. So if you look back on the things that haven't set well with you, if you look back on the things that haven't worked out, or the things that you learned that are not resonating with you, then you can say, well, that must mean that I prefer this, and I would prefer to feel more like this, and I would prefer to experience these things. So change is coming, and again, we're in the midst of a huge shift. So we get to determine how we want to utilize that energy. So for you, Kath, it's saying, look at the stuff that hasn't worked out and start to get some clarity about what you would prefer. Okay, contrast is a gift in that way, and it's really asking you to take advantage of that. Our intentions are very, very powerful, so it's time to really start to set them. Okay, let me see where we are. Okay, I'm going to skip a little bit just because I'm seeing more people come up, and if I have time, I'll go back. I see Melissa McMillan. I'll pull a card for you. Don't really want to go too far past 12:30. All right, Melissa, your card is the Chariot. So the Chariot is a vehicle. The Chariot is a sign of taking action. So you're being encouraged to start to take some steps toward what it is that you want, to actually step on the gas here. The time for waiting around and self, doubting yourself and trying to figure out what's best and weighing the pros and cons and all of that stuff. It's time to now use all of that to put yourself into forward motion. One of the aspects of this card that jumps out at me is there's a black horse and a white horse here, and sometimes they feel like the way that we think, which is absolute. This is absolutely right or absolutely wrong. And sometimes that can paralyze us because we think, I'm either going to get this right or I'm going to get it wrong. If I get it wrong, that's going to really screw up my life. And so it paralyzes us. I don't want to make any decision then because I don't want to get it wrong. Well, the truth is much different from that. There is no absolute right or absolute wrong. That we're on a journey. It's a path, and it's constantly changing and shifting and moving. And so if you start to go in a direction that doesn't serve you, there's something to learn from that, and then you get to shift that direction. So don't get too caught up in the idea that you're going to do something wrong. If your heart is leading you that way and you're really feeling compelled and drawn to take action in a certain direction, trust that. You don't have to leap in head first, but you can start to take the steps in that direction and feel your way through it all along. Is it still feeling right? Am I still feeling drawn in this way? And if at any point it starts to not feel right, you can shift. It's like the GPS, right? You make a wrong turn and it recalculates for you. So don't get too caught up in worrying about whether you're doing something wrong. That's a mental construct. That's a fear-based construct. That doesn't, again, mean that you should just willy-nilly just jump into something that you haven't really thought about or considered. But it's saying trust yourself to know what feels best. Okay. Okay. Subendri, I will pull a card for you. All right. All right, your card is the King of Pentacles. Again, another Pentacle. So we must be dealing with a lot of material stuff this week. It's a very, very powerful card. And you can see just the energy of that card is very strong. The King energy in general is a very powerful energy. Um, this is a card again about the material life, and so can have something to do with your work life, your finances, and so in that way it is very earth based. But there is also a spiritual element to this, and you can see his big third eye being highlighted there. So to me, there's the energy of really wanting you to not separate out your material earthly life from your spiritual heart-centered intuitive life. This is really encouraging that you join those two parts of yourself and that you use your intuition for everything, even the things that seem, very mundane, very, logic based, intellectually based. Um, we don't have to separate our spiritual side from our earth side. It works better when we join them together. So again, there's a lot of messages in these individual readings and in the general reading that are about trusting ourselves, and this is one of them. It's like, you've had a lot of experience using your intuition and tuning into higher consciousness and higher awareness. Now's the time to use that to make the decisions that are going to be in your highest good moving forward, even if those decisions have to do with something very logical. Okay, use both. Use your logic, your intellect, your pros and cons lists, and all of that, but also tap into your knowing, your heart. How does this feel? And I think where we're heading, just as a collective, is a higher awareness of that. The logic and intellect have their place, but we have to stop letting that be the ruler of our lives. Okay. All right, where are we here? I'm Diane Lopresti. I will pull a card regarding your current situation. And that is the Queen of Cups. All right, very divine feminine card here. The cups in itself is focused on the feminine energy of the heart, the intuition, the compassionate heart, the feeling place. And the Queen energy is reminding you that this is a sacred and very powerful part of your awareness. So again, similar to some of the other messages here, it's really asking you to tune into that part of you. I feel like this kind of summarizes the whole shift that we're being offered right now. That we're being called upon to really tap into the higher energy of compassion and care and intuition and feeling. That divine feminine energy that's been maligned for so long. We're recognizing how important it is, how powerful it is. So for you, Diane, it's really essential that you tap into that and ask yourself, how am I feeling? What do I need? What is my heart telling me? What am I sensing is right for me? How can I bring as much compassion and care and gentleness to this situation? Even if that's not what you're getting, it's really important to assess what energy you want to bring to the situation. Okay? We have a tendency to respond in kind, right? And so if somebody's coming at you with some hostility, or somebody's coming at you with, a lack of compassion, we will tend to want to respond in that way. But that's not necessarily what's in our best interest, because every time you respond in kind, it's like throwing another log on the fire. So if you take a moment and say, well, what energy would I prefer in this situation? And let me bring that energy to the situation. That's where you are creating a potential for the energy around the situation to change. If you're just coming back with the same energy, it's not going to change. In fact, it's going to grow, in a negative way, in the way that you don't want it to grow. So respond from the heart always. That doesn't mean being a doormat. You can stand up for yourself and speak up for yourself and still come from the heart. So that's an aspect of self-care, but it doesn't have to be hostile, right? All right, where are we here? Blah, blah, blah. All right. Uh, Adrian Botti. Pull a card for you. It's 12:30. I'll do just a few more quick ones. All right, Adrian, we got another ace here, an ace of wands coming up for you. You can see the word on that card is power. You look at that card, a big dragon to me often represents fear, something that's holding us back, something that is keeping us from this new beginning. The wands aspect is the creative aspect. So, this is a card about really totally embracing the idea that you can face your fears, so that you can start to really move forward with what you want in your life. Fear is the thing that really gets in our way. It's necessary. We need to have fear. It keeps us alive sometimes, so it's programmed into our brains to move us away from danger. But when it's fear of something that hasn't really happened, or fear of something that happened in the past, fear of that happening again, or fear of, some idea of something that might happen, this is where we start to find the roadblocks to our path ahead. So this is saying, be aware of the fear, face the fear, look it in the eye and say, okay, I know where you're coming from. I can make peace with you, and you're not going to stop me. This is where we get our greatest sense of achievement and accomplishment, when we face fears and move forward anyway. Face the fear and do it anyway is the message. If everything were easy without fear, we wouldn't have that great of a sense of accomplishment. Like, oh, big deal. So I did that. That wasn't, didn't require a lot of effort. So, you're being asked to overcome, acknowledge and overcome whatever it is that may be holding you back. Righty. We got Amanda Melvin say, oh, your card is the Wheel of Fortune. Really good card to come up here today. The Wheel of Fortune reminds us that, change is always possible. That wheel of time, wheel of energy, things are always in motion. Nothing is ever really stagnant. It's when we become out of alignment with that change that we start to feel stagnant and stuck, or we resist it. We humans are really good at resisting change. Somehow, we have a fear of it. So the Wheel of Fortune is saying, you can either be in alignment with what's being offered to you, or you can resist it. In any case, that wheel's going to keep turning. There's also a sense of guidance in this card. So it's really asking you to tune into what you feel drawn to what your intuitive voice is saying to you, because that's how the guidance comes through. The guidance doesn't come through as a booming voice out of the sky or a big directional arrow in neon. It's more subtle than that, and usually it sounds and feels like our own voice. That's why it's so important to listen to our intuition, to listen to, that inner voice that is kind of urging you forward. It may feel and sound like your own voice, but it's often inspired by your guides, your angels, your loved ones in spirit, source itself. So you're being encouraged to see this as the optimal time to start planning, moving forward, taking steps, tuning in. This is the absolute time and place. You're in exactly the right time, exactly the right place to start to create something different for yourself. You don't have to know where you're going to wind up. You just want to get into alignment with that place that says, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready for change. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to align with what's being offered to me. Righty. Okay, well, I have to do a reading for this person. She has shown up a few times, and she has the same name as me. So, Tracy Goodwin Farquhar. I didn't, I know there were a couple of us out there. So, let's see what I get for you. It's even the same spelling and everything. All right, Princess of Swords, for my namesake. So once again, we have swords, which has come up a few times. Again, relating to how we are thinking, the energy of our thoughts, And this is a very triumphant and energetic card. There's this sense of really moving forward into the future. So this woman in her metal bikini is you. You know, there is that sense of being a warrior. And so as it comes to the thought process, it's really wanting you to embrace that part of yourself. Again, recognize how far you have come, how you have already triumphed over a lot of adversity and challenge. And knowing that whatever comes up, you know, you have the evidence to say that I'm going to deal with whatever shows up here. So I don't have to hold myself back. I don't have to feel buried in fear. I don't have to worry about, you know, taking a wrong path or doing the wrong thing. As long as it feels right to me, as long as I'm, you know, I'm feeling sure of my own wisdom, my self-wisdom, my self-awareness, you know, I can remind myself of how strong I am and how resilient I am and how powerful I am. So, you know, it's encouraging forward movement. It's encouraging that, again, you assess where your thoughts are and that you also bring that sense of, um, you know, the feeling as well into what your logical mind is telling you. Again, they work together. The logical thinking, intellectual mind comes from the processing aspect of the brain. The feeling heart comes from higher wisdom. So, you know, taking the steps in a logical, thought out way is going to be really helpful, but also tune in to what you're feeling. Um, don't forget how strong you are. Really strong message in that. I think we could all learn from that, especially after such a difficult time we've been through. You should all be congratulating yourself for coming through that. Um, you know, again, we could have collapsed under the weight of everything we've dealt with, but here we are. We're still here. We're a little battered and bruised, but we're still moving forward. And things, I guarantee that things are going to start to really show up, that show progress and show that we're moving on. Really focus on those things, even the little things that show progress. You know, the don't get stuck in that place of, you know, things are never getting better, things are never moving forward. Um, Make sure your thoughts are generating the forward movement, even if it's not something that you're seeing really clearly in your own life yet. Okay, really focus on where you want to be, set your intentions, take some quiet time to yourself this week, ask yourself what you want, do some journaling, make some lists. Okay, it's like, you know, the engines are revving now. You know, this stuff is starting to open up, literally and in our energetic field. Take advantage of that now and say, what do I want? What makes me happy? What makes me feel fulfilled? Are there things in my life that I need to release in order to move forward? This is the week to do that. So enjoy that. Do it in the best way you can. Be gentle with yourself in the meantime. Remind yourself how powerful your energy is. And I hope you have a great week. Thanks for showing up, and I will see you again next Monday. Take care. Bye.